All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Simply Cyber's morning cybersecurity threat briefing, also lovingly known as First Things First. We're going to be ripping up the top cybersecurity news stories of the day, getting you all set for a great week to be able to kick butt, be informed, understand what's going on. And if you're new to the field, we're going to be giving you the intelligence, the perspective, the analysis that you can walk into a job interview confidently with and be like, oh, yeah, no. Actually, did you know this? And oh, did you know that? Or I'm quite familiar with that. And my thoughts are X, Y, and Z. It's all about good times. It's all about coffee, commentary, and friends. And I love seeing all of you in chat. Good morning. I hope you had a good weekend. Let's start the timer. Should have done that. Carrie, I saw you in there. Hey, Pamela, hope you had a nice weekend. Anna Lynn, always nice. Chinnery, it was nice emailing with you this morning. I appreciate the support. Oh, yeah, Carrie. Yeah, your puns are on point. Anthony Gibbs, good morning. Jax, I hope you're well. Hope you're well, guys. I'm thinking just for because we have a strong community that's here on the regular. I was thinking about playing some like light jazz or something very subtle in the first 3 minutes while we're getting our coffee and piling into the room, just so there's a little bit of undertoned ambiance. I'll leave it to the community to weigh in. My vote is just one of many votes. So if you guys are thinking that would be fun, maybe we just experiment and give it a shot for a couple days. Thank you, Kimberly. I also like the timer. That way, if you're watching on replay, if you're watching on replay and you got this far and you're like, when does this thing start? Just scrub to the 000 and you'll be getting hot takes dished directly into your face. EDM at 7 a.m. Come on, VSEC. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, maybe I do that. I don't know. Okay, all right. Maybe I'll do a potpourri. I'll do an eclectic mix of music for the morning briefings, and we'll get through with that. Oh yeah, Josh Mason. If you want to get the modem, if you want to go circa 1994, you got to get here at the start. Hey, Bill Green. Yeah, Pink Floyd. I actually started trying to learn "Wish You Were Here" on the guitar this weekend. We'll give it a shot. Scrub it. Yeah. Nice. Pamela, I hope your car situation got sorted out too. I saw what happened to your vehicle. That's tough. Hey, Lupe. Lo-fi? Yeah, actually, Jerica, I think lo-fi might be the perfect balance here of, ambiance and unintrusiveness. So, hey, Dominic, Maria, good to see you. Brendan, still in the rental, yeah. Gosh. Guys, couple things. One for the community here. I have a dental appointment at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going right from university to the dentist. So I'm going to pull down tomorrow's broadcast, the actual fixed timer, but I will be going live, like, kind of with this renegade style that I've been running. Probably like 11:30-ish. It's just a cleaning. It's not like I'm going to have my face all jacked up. So just be aware. I guess programming note, tomorrow's First Things First is going to be a renegade broadcast. All right, guys, let's get going. If you are new here and you're not sure what the heck is going on, we will be going to cybersecurity headlines, CISO series. .com, and we'll be running through those news stories. You don't need to go there yourself. It's just if you want to know where we're getting those news stories from. Before we get going, I do want to say special shout out and thank you to the squad. Some of you have been longtime members of the squad, and I really genuinely appreciate your support. But I just noticed in the last couple of days, we've gotten some new members, and I wanted to recognize them. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Letizia. And Chinnery, we emailed this morning. Thank you so much for your continued support. Love seeing you in chat all the time. All right, guys, let's dig into the news stories of the day and get ready to kick some serious butt this week.
From the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Monday, February 7th, 2022. U.S. House passes bill to boost chip manufacturing and R&D. On Friday, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill that will equip America to boost semiconductor production and lift its economy to better compete with China. The law bill, called America Competes Act of 2022, includes $52 billion in funding to help semiconductor companies build new factories and to fund research and development. The draft legislation also earmarks $45 billion in funding to boost the supply chain and alleviate problems related to chip shortages, which have hit key sectors such as consumer electronics and automotive. The next step is reconciliation with the U.S. Senate's version of the bill, the U.S. Innovation and Competition Act, which passed last June.
All right. So this is, I guess this is an interesting story. Okay. So obviously, I don't know if you personally have been experiencing the chip shortage squeeze, but if you're doing tech refreshes at your organizations, this is a real thing that's being a problem. For a moment, I was going to say, day late, dollar short, guys. Like, this is when the gas crisis happened a few years ago, and everybody was like, we need electric cars and we need them now, right? Do you remember that? And it was like, oh, everybody's going to start making electric cars, but it was like, we need the problem is now, okay? So, what I would say about this is it looks like Intel and Samsung are already building facilities in at least Ohio for one of those. So that's really good. The only problem I see is like anything else, right? This whole $52 billion injection, I'm sure it has to do with like tax breaks and giving up land and stuff like that to these businesses. Because at the end of the day, guys, we talk about business being all about money, and it is, right? Like if Intel and Samsung have a financial incentive to build in China or build in Japan or Taiwan or Korea or Canada, Mexico, it doesn't matter. If they're financially incentivized, they have shareholders who are, looking at how they're spending their money. And if it's way more expensive to build in the United States, it doesn't matter if you're a patriot or, you want America to thrive, right? Like it's a business. And at the end of the day, the business needs to make money. So that $52 billion, I suspect, would be heavily laden with tax incentives, tax breaks, et cetera, et cetera. I hope the chip shortage gets resolved, because right now we are a consumer of a product that we are not making enough of. And when you have that problem, when you're depending on other countries, and I'm not saying we're going to war, but there is mounting tensions on a geopolitical scale. And if your adversary is the one that you're getting chips from, they're not going to sell you chips anymore if there is a conflict, right? So, something to keep in mind. Let's keep rolling.
1 in 7 ransomware extortion attempts leak key operational tech records. Once, ransomware was used en masse to infect systems and extort blackmail payments from the general public, normally in cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin. But now, operators are targeting high-value targets for larger payoffs. In what some cybersecurity experts call big game hunting, ransomware groups go for large enterprise firms, utilities, hospitals, and key supply chain players. Research performed independently by Mandiant and Cisco Secure show how thieves will patiently penetrate networks in order to steal employee credentials, asset tags, third-party vendor agreements and legal documents, project files, product diagrams, process documents, spreadsheets, visualizations, and in one case, the proprietary source code of a satellite vehicle tracker's GPS platform. Access to this type of data can enable threat actors to learn about an industrial environment, identify paths of least resistance, and engineer cyber-physical attacks.
Okay, guys, there is a lot on the bone here, okay? So what they're saying here is that, okay, ransomware is rampant, right? So there's no question about that. Ransomware is rampant still, even though they took Revil down, even though there's these efforts going underway, ransomware is still rampant, okay? And they're saying that 1 in 7 ransomware extortion attempts actually leak key data about the victim, right? So these threat actors have moved into, sometimes they call it double ransom, where you could pay a ransom to unlock your systems, and you can pay a ransom to prevent them from leaking your data, your proprietary information, your sensitive information out to the public, right? So it's a double dip. It sucks if you're a victim organization because you're getting hit twice. And oh, by the way, just this is a quick aside, but sometimes insurance policies will only cover the like encrypted machines and getting you back up and running, not the impact from the data leakage. That's a separate topic for a different day. What is interesting here is this right here, this problem lends itself to why, and I hate to use the buzzword, guys, but I'm going to use it because it's appropriate. This is why zero trust architecture and appropriately adding permissions and data classification is so important. And I know it's wicked hard to use data labeling and it's unrealistic, but if you are a major organization with $500 million in research and development, you're Tesla and you've got like some new age battery that can go 1,000 miles, or you're developing like the next whatever app or whatever, like there's real value in that. And you can't have everybody who works at your organization having access to it. Gone are the days of, hey, like, welcome to the new company, Bob. Here's your keys, like wherever you want to go, right? Like that concept of like implicit trust and expecting people to do the right thing is gone, because when Bob gets compromised, no offense to Bob, but Bob gets compromised, like the threat actor will have the same access that Bob has. So we have to move beyond this, because this is happening where architectural diagrams, intellectual property, research and development is getting compromised. And by the way, this is just on top of getting ransomware. Dude, if your organization gets ransomware, you're having a terrible day. Terrible day. And the executives are all up in your craw wanting to know what the heck is going on. I need updates every 15 minutes. You're like, we're still trying to figure out the impact to your guy. Like, get up off my back. And it's just, and then on top of it, you're like, oh, by the way, we lost the plans to the Death Star. Like, no one wants that. Long story short, protect your assets.
New Argo CD bug could let hackers steal secret information from Kubernetes apps. Users of the Argo continuous deployment tool for Kubernetes are being urged to push through updates after a zero-day vulnerability was found that could allow an attacker to extract sensitive information such as passwords and API keys. The flaw, tagged as CVE 2022-24348 with a CVSS score of 7.7, affects all versions and has been addressed in versions 2.3.0, 2.2.4, and 2.1.9. Cloud security firm Apiro has been credited with discovering and reporting the bug on January 30th of this year. Argo CD is officially used by 191 organizations, including Alibaba Group, BMW Group, Deloitte, IBM, Intuit, LexisNexis, Red Hat, Swisscom, and Ticketmaster.
Okay, so this is an attack on Kubernetes, which is interesting because according to this attack flow, you can see that the attacker here in step 4 is able to extract sensitive data like API keys, which are pretty important in a continuous deployment, continuous integration flow. What I would say to this one is, if you're working in an environment that has Kubernetes, then you know, like the seriousness and the impact of this, and that you would want to tell your dev team, your DevOps team, hey, there's a Kubernetes bug. Let's make sure that we're cleared about this. Data can get out, et cetera, et cetera. If you do not work in a DevOps environment, this is an interesting story, but not one that you need to take action on. What I would say is, this just further enforces for me that there's an entire world of DevOps, DevSecOps that I really don't know a ton of. If you're looking for an area that is, I mean, it's already really blossomed, but if you're looking for an area that is, you could really sink your teeth into, that is kind of untapped land, DevSecOps. I did a video with Rashish Patel on the channel, so you can find that if you want. But I don't know anything about Kubernetes. Like, I know I was a developer. I have a computer science background. Like, I can wrap my head around this flowchart, but I can't tell you how, Puppet and Chef and Kubernetes and Dockers and all those things, how they all interface with each other as far as protecting and doing this configuration correctly. So be aware. Kubernetes, not a surprise. It is a major thing, but companies that are Fortune 50 companies, they listed several like Ticketmaster, Amazon, Alibaba. They're using this technology. So if you understand it, you're positioning yourself in a better way to help those organizations, but more importantly, get paid. Get paid.
Black Cat ransomware linked to Black Matter and Dark Side gangs. The Black Cat ransomware gang, also known as ALPHV, has confirmed they are former members of the notorious Black Matter DarkSide ransomware operation. Black Cat is a new, feature-rich ransomware operation launched in November 2021 and developed in the Rust programming language, which is unusual for ransomware infections. The ransomware executable is highly customizable with different encryption methods and operations, allowing for attacks on a wide range of corporate environments. While the ransomware gang calls themselves ALPHV, security researcher Malware Hunter Team named the ransomware Black Cat after the image of a black cat used on every victim's Tor payment page.
Okay, so this is a, no surprise, guys. This is a ransomware threat actor group rebrand. Black Matter, if you guys don't remember, okay, so DarkSide was the one that did Colonial Pipeline, and then they rebranded to Black Matter right afterwards because DarkSide got blown up by the U.S. federal government. And then now they're saying Black Matter is rebranded into Black Cat. Now, I don't know all of this as far as like the inner workings of a ransomware threat actor group. It would be interesting to talk to one. But what I suspect is, there's a group of people who are the gang. And, maybe the heat gets too much. Maybe one person makes enough money for them to be comfortable and they want to get out. Maybe there's too much attention, too much heat, the way the DarkSide and Colonial Pipeline. So they do these rebrandings. It's just the same TTPs, the same techniques, the same tools, the same malicious malware. I will give them credit for this, like, fun looking, kind of, eye porn, if you want to call it that. Like, this looks good. I mean, you don't want to see this running on your machine, but I will give them props for making it look pretty. So just be on the lookout. Again, until people get arrested and punished, frankly, for their actions, this is going to continue to happen, guys. This is a long battle, right? This isn't a quick war. A quick battle. This is a long war. So ransomware, nothing here other than to take away that threat actors rebrand and continue doing it, partially to say, oh, no, like, that's not us. You can't pin Colonial Pipeline on us because that we're Black Cat, not Black Hat. All right. Thank you, Tom. So to my friends on LinkedIn, it looks like we're not streaming to LinkedIn today. So, if you're on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, mostly YouTube people, you're getting the raw cuts today. And, that's the breaks. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, mods.
And now, a word from our sponsor to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Download the brief today. To learn more, go to
let's see what the FBI is saying. After their fail about telling Olympians to bring a burner phone days after they arrive.
Shares lockbit ransomware technical details and defense tips. The FBI has released technical details and indicators of compromise associated with lockbit ransomware attacks in a new flash alert published this past Friday. It also provided information to help organizations block this adversary's attempts to breach their networks and asked victims to urgently report such incidents to their local FBI cyber squad. The Lockbit ransomware gang has been very active since September 2019 when it launched as a ransomware as a service, and the gang is now also trying to remove the intermediaries by recruiting insiders to provide them with access to corporate networks via VPN and remote desktop protocols.
Okay, so this is a bit scary, guys, just to put it in perspective. Okay, so this is Lockbit ransomware. The FBI is releasing technical indicators and IOCs. IOCs are indicators of compromise. You can use them to help detect if malicious behavior associated with Lockbit is happening on your network, or retroactively look back in your logs and see if behaviors associated with Lockbit are happening. Although chances are, if Lockbit's happening and you have historical information on it, then you either have decent controls which stop them from fully deploying their payload, or Lockbit was there because all of your files are encrypted with .lock, I think might be their thing. Either way, what's interesting is in the write-up, they're saying that Lockbit has undergone an overhaul. Now it's 2.0, ransomware as a service, which is nasty business. That's where the threat actors, instead of attacking you directly, have actually set up a kind of malware service where like you just have to sign up. They'll provide you with the malware. They'll provide you with the cryptocurrency, the wallet, the transaction, the Tor page, customer support. They literally provide that, which is insane. And by customer, I mean victim support. So if somebody who doesn't understand crypto gets encrypted, they can call a 1-800 number and they'll explain to you how to convert your cash into Bitcoin to pay the ransom. Deplorable, but it's a thing. So that's ransomware as a service. It looks like they're also, this is really interesting. It says in the article here, automatic encryption of devices across Windows domain. That's crazy business. That's more of a worm-like capability. If you've heard the term worm versus virus, worms kind of move on their own. That's scary because most environments are Windows domains. So if this thing can propagate across a Windows domain on its own, scary, scary stuff. You definitely don't want that. And then to add insult to injury, it looks like they're saying that they're actually trying to remove intermediaries by recruiting internal people, insider threats. So think about it for a second, okay? Like Carl is a good person, does the right thing, but Carl's spouse just lost their job. Maybe their kids moved back in from college and they got this mounting debt or whatever. And Lockbit says, hey, Carl, check it out. All you got to do is run this executable on your workstation. We'll take it from there. You don't even like your company anyways. And oh, by the way, we'll give you 5%, 10% of whatever you recover. And it's all Bitcoin. It's all encrypted. It's all anonymous. No sweat, Carl. What do you say? We can solve all of your financial problems. You just got to double click this executable. That's pretty appealing, especially if the ransom's like, I don't know, let's say $4 million, right? So Carl gets, I guess what's that, $40,000 or 400,000, whatever, doesn't matter, 400,000. That's let's say that's 3 times Carl's annual salary if we're being generous, 4 times. It's easy to get people to do bad things when you throw a bunch of money at their face. So just be on the lookout for this. I wish that FBI story was linked here so I could pull up what they're actually saying.
FBI's
But
warning
I'm going
about
to check it out
Iranian
myself.
firm highlights common cyber attack tactics.
Oh, double dipping on the FBI
Another
today.
story from the FBI. They have released a warning outlining the tactics, techniques, and protocols of Iran-based Eminent APT, reportedly a cybersecurity and intelligence firm servicing Iranian government agencies, and this was done to help recipients inform and defend themselves against the group's malicious activities. The private industry notification issued last week lists the most common and recent CVEs that Eminent has been found to exploit. They also describe their techniques, such as exploiting open source tools like web page running PHP code or pages with externally accessible MySQL databases. The notification also pointed out how Eminent ran an interference campaign during the US 2020 election, obtaining confidential voter information from state election websites, sending intimidating emails to voters, crafting and distributing misinformation videos about voting vulnerabilities, and hacking into media companies' computer networks.
Okay, so it looks like we've got, Iran has a couple cyber APTs. I guess if you want to brand them as that skilled. Basically, this group called Eminent APT, but they keep referring to it as Eminent. So you might be hearing the APT group name Eminent being thrown around quite a bit. Looks like they hide themselves using VPNs. This is nice right here. You don't always get this, but basically they're saying these are the most common vulnerabilities that Eminent is found to exploit. So this can inform your threat and vulnerability management. If you work in the threat and vulnerability management space, if you're a single person office shop, or you're kind of a matrixed organization with IT and security, look at these CVEs, see if they're in your environment, right? They may not be in your environment because you don't have SolarWinds Orion. Okay, no big deal. But you could, with this right here, you could actually say within an hour, okay, hey, like this Eminent APT, you may have heard of it, but we are less likely to be affected by it because the most common things that they use, we are either it's not in our environment, or we are patched, configured, whatever you want to say, right? Like we don't use Drupal, so we're good there. We don't have web-facing web apps or internet-facing web apps, etc. By the way, just as a fun fact, make sure wherever you are in your career, okay, do not ever say we are completely secured. We are completely protected. We are unhackable. Do not ever say that, because first of all, it's not true, right? There's always some residual risk of being compromised. You cannot eliminate all risk. And secondly, if you publicly say that, typically CISOs say it in the news and stuff. If you publicly say that, you might as well paint a target on your forehead, because nothing gets threat actors, security researchers more hyper-focused on you than telling them they can't do it. So, I mean, it doesn't happen often as much anymore, but in the mid 2000s, man, whew, CISOs would spend a lot of money and then say silly things in the news, and then like that I don't know if you guys remember, there's a guy named something, he had a company called LifeLock that was guaranteed to protect your social security number, and he drove around with a box truck in Manhattan that said, here's my social security number. Literally, the CEO of the company's social security number was on the side of the truck, and he said, my identity is protected, you cannot steal my identity. And he had his identity stolen like 19 times in the next month. It's a great story, you could Google it, but just don't feed the bears.
WordPress plugin has a gaping security hole. Owners of WordPress sites that use the Elementor website creation toolkit are being warned of a security hole that combines data leakage and remote code execution if they are incorporating a plugin called Essential Add-ons for Elementor, a popular tool for adding visual features such as timelines, image galleries, e-commerce forms, and price lists. This is due to a file inclusion vulnerability in the product, which makes it possible for attackers to trick the plugin into accessing and including a server-side file using a file name supplied in the incoming web request. Users should upgrade to version 5.0.6 or later.
Okay. So WordPress plugin security hole, like, this is not new. But if you are managing WordPress, if you are responsible, if you have them in your environment, you should be able to find them pretty easily with scanners, or have Shodan tell you, right? If you have an internet-facing web app, just keep them patched. It's important to point out really quickly here, and if you've been working in the space for a while, you know as well as I do, whether it's you or it's a developer or it's somebody in marketing who, like Carl, who just wants to stand up a website. Listen, people will be like, oh, cool, like click plugin, enable plugin, and then be like, oh, this is kind of cool, but not really what I want. Enable plugin. With access, with anything, frankly, people do not go back and disable access. They do not go and disable plugins. They do not turn off things, because the app or whatever it is works just as fine whether you turn it off or don't turn it off, right? You understand what I'm saying? So this is kind of like technical debt-ish. It's not exactly technical debt, but it's like legacy sprawling attack surface that your end users are doing, or you're doing yourself. And I know it's a pain in the butt to go back and shut something off. And did it have any downstream impacts? Was there an entanglement with that plugin, with a different plugin? Did I break something? It's easier if I just leave it alone because it works. When you do that, you introduce additional risk for no reason other than it's hard. It's inconvenient. It's a challenge to properly understand how to configure this thing and turn off plugins that shouldn't be turned on. So just be aware, like this is a common thing. It's WordPress today, but it could be a Joomla server or a Drupal thing or Apache, or it could be anything, right? You need to do configuration management and shut off things that don't need to be there anymore, because it regularly leads to compromise and issue. And I'm sure some of the gray hairs in chat have, you know, a war story or two around dealing with something that was caused by something like this.
German court rules websites embedding Google fonts violate GDPR.
Oh, come on.
A regional court in the German city of Munich has ordered a website operator to pay 100 euros in damages for transferring a user's personal data, such as IP address, to Google via the search giant's fonts library without the individual's consent. The unauthorized disclosure of the plaintiff's IP address by the unnamed website to Google constitutes a contravention of the user's privacy rights, the court said, adding the website operator could theoretically combine the gathered information with other third-party data to identify the persons behind the IP address. GDPR considers IP addresses, advertising IDs, and cookies to be personally identifiable information, making it mandatory for businesses to seek users' explicit permission before processing such information.
All right. All right. So privacy is a topic in the information security space. It really is its own discipline over here, but there is a Venn diagram intersection, usually around the confidentiality security objective of information security's world. GDPR, it's a privacy regulation. It's incredibly strong. It's enforced heavily. And basically, this company got charged 100 euros, which I don't know what the conversion rate is that, but 200 bucks maybe, for transferring a person's IP address via Google Fonts or something like that. I'm curious if the individual even knew that they were transferring the IP address, whether it was unconscious. Just by the way, Google set it up. I get that you could use third-party apps to figure out who the person was, but I feel like this is a little, even the fact that the fine's 100 euros, it's a little bit like GDPR doing a little bit of a flex on the small guy. I don't know how you feel in chat. I know some people are super, hey, thanks Christopher for subscribing. I know it's, I mean, at some point you got to draw the line, right? Like where is it? But whatever, I guess IP address can get you a $100 fine. And I don't know where the money's going for that GDPR, but this seems more like a flex than like an actual spirit of what GDPR was trying to accomplish. But whatever, don't mess with GDPR. You'll get your hand slapped pretty heavily. All right, guys, it's 8:30. We ran a couple minutes over, but that's okay. I want to remind everybody, first of all, thank you so much for being here. I absolutely love having you guys in chat. If you're around this Thursday at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, we will be joined by Neil Bridges, Chief Content Creator over at Cybersecurity and a heavily opinionated man on third-party risk management and NFTs. You'll want to come over. It'll be a very lively chat, good times, a lot of AMA, and there's always something that happens when Neil's on stream, so we'll handle that. If you want, guys, if you have the time, if you got value out of this, do me a favor and share with your social network this URL, because it will take them to the First Things First daily live streams to let them know that they can join and get informed and get up to date on what's happening in cybersecurity. If you want to keep the conversation going with the wonderful people that are in chat right now, go over to simplycyber.io/Discord. You'll hop in the Discord server. It's its own community over there. I absolutely love the Simply Cyber community. I love how everybody's helping each other. And if you want to be part of a community that cares, come on over and join us. There's absolutely no commitment needed whatsoever. Guys, this is Monday, February 7th, 2022. You guys are wonderful. I'm Gerald Auger. See you out there. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow's a renegade broadcast for First Things First because of my dentist appointment. All right, guys, be good, and I'll